Welcome back to the Perlaworks channel. To get things started, I'm going to start rough cutting this 8-core sapele. It's about 19 inches wide, which is perfect for this project because I needed boards that were going to be 6 inches wide, so I get everything rough cut, take it to the table saw, and I'll get it cut to about 6 1/8. I'll take it over the joiner and then the planer. With 8-quarter stock, you should be able to get 3 half-inch thick boards if you were to resaw at the bandsaw, but that comes with a little bit of risk if your boards start to cup too much and then you end up with stock that's too thin for what you need. So I just use the table saw to cut them in half. This creates a little bit more waste, but it's less risky in my opinion. I had some sapele left over from other projects, and it was a little bit nicer figure, and so I decided to use it for the drawer front, so here I am just resawing them in half. It's back to the joiner and planer to get everything down to its final dimensions. I plane it down to a half-inch thick, and I'll take it to the table saw to get it to its final length and width. The box is constructed with rabbets at the corners along with dados in the middle of the boards which house the dividers. I did a couple test cuts and added a few shims to the dado stack to make sure it could fit these boards nicely. Here I'm just cutting the rabbets in the boards, and now here we are cutting the dados in the top and bottom of the boards. And the next one I'll be cutting the dados in the left and right panels. The previous dados are about a 1/4 inch deep, but these ones for the middle dividers are only an 1/8 inch deep because they have to be on both sides. Now it's time to install these middle dividers. The first one was a little bit snug and I had to use the mallet to knock it in, but the second one was a perfect fit and just slid right in. These short dividers almost sunk the whole project. They were just way too tight and would not go in. To ease the embarrassment a little bit, I turned the camera off and continued to hit them with the mallet as hard as I could. I ended up only doing the top and bottom dividers at first, let them dry, and then came back and put the middle dividers in. Now it's time to move on to the 9 drawers. I'm using soft maple for the sides and back of the drawers, and I'm just ripping this to final width so that they fit perfectly into the drawer box. I sized each drawer front to fit its own cavity perfectly. And this way, if there's any deviations in my previous measurements, these drawers will still fit nicely. And as you can see, that this first one went in nicely, and boop. I'm using a double dado or a half-blind lock joint for the drawer. And that was my dog Pepper Ann. I follow the technique from a couple old woodworking books that I have, and it's sort of complicated, but after a couple tests, it's not too bad. You just want to make sure that you have your fence set up properly and don't move it once it's set. And you want to use a flat tooth grind blade so that the bottom of your cut is nice and flat. The backs of the drawers are attached with a simple housing joint, and after that it's time to glue everything up. At this point, the drawers didn't have a perfect fit, so I just used a block plane to fine tune everything. I drew up the skirt design in Inkscape and then created this little plywood template, and then I just trace it onto the skirts and then take it to the bandsaw to cut out. For the legs, I was initially going to go with a straight taper, but at the last second, we ended up switching it to like a soft curve. And I think it just gives it a nicer look that matches the skirt. I use glue and some pocket screws to attach the skirt to the legs, and I have a 1/4 inch piece of plywood under the skirt to create a slight reveal. I gave everything an 1/8 inch radius round over and then sanded everything up through 320 grit. I'm going to be using Danish oil for my finish, and I've noticed that going up to 320 gives me a little bit better result than stopping at 220. Some glue and a couple screws is all that's needed to attach the legs. I used the 1/4 inch plywood again to create a nice even reveal. And you can see those little ash spacers that I have in the back of the box. And I put those in to make sure that the drawers sit flush with the front. I found some nice label holder poles online, and I created this template so that the holes would be spaced evenly on each drawer. And then I just screw them in using a screwdriver, making sure not to strip the screws. And it's done. Thanks for watching.